If you like pop culture, then you're familiar with this little tale. A great intellectual property gets crippled because a low-quality addition to the series absolutely biffs it. Yeah, we're bringing back Biffs It. The point is, that's the story of Fooly Cooly Grunge. The original season of Fooly Cooly was a smashing 6-episode miniseries from Gainax, the creators of Neon Genesis Evangelion, from back in 2000. Grunge, on the other hand, is an absolute 3-episode cluster of a show made by Adult Swim and Production IG that released in 2023 alongside Fooly Cooly Shoegaze, which was another season of Fooly Cooly. Both were so bad, there are rumors that Adult Swim won't be making more Fooly Cooly content. Now, I wasn't able to find the original tweet for that since the source, Jason DeMarco, has deleted their Twitter account, so we're kind of in the dark as to whether Fooly Cooly is fully dead in the water or not. I think that would be a huge shame, because when I like characters in the world they live in, I want to spend more time with them. It's why, as a kid, I loved big series like Redwall, Harry Potter, Eragon, and Lord of the Rings. And I understand that some people's memories of the original can be hurt by new stuff, but I never felt that myself really either. I think bad seasons and weird spin-offs can be fun to learn from, laugh at, or steam over, which is its own kind of fun, you know?
Eating ramen that tastes really bad can be kind of fun too.
With that said, after watching Grunge the first time, it felt like a frustratingly broken lost cause. But then I found something miraculous. A fan edit that fixed most of Grunge's major problems. And suddenly, I realized that Grunge, and hear me out, had potential. Unfortunately, this did make all of the other issues more tragic. So now, let's discuss what's wrong with Fooly Cooly Grunge and, of course, how to fix it. The first stop is chronology. The original Fooly Cooly was lightning fast and it jumped from place to place in a few episodes, but it was mostly chronological, and it managed to stay on that knife's edge of engaging and confusing. If you survived your first viewing and rewatched the show, you began to understand more and more of it, which made for a really unique viewing experience. Grunge, from what I can tell, tried to do the same thing and just failed spectacularly. Now, I don't blame the original creators too much for wanting to live up to the original and not hitting the mark. This is a common mistake. Another season of Fooly Cooly called Progressive also failed to match Fooly Cooly's pace, but it ended up being a decent series overall. From what I can tell, their sin was just shoveling too many superfluous characters into the narrative and gumming up the works. Grunge, unfortunately, did this and a lot more. It's only 3 episodes, but every episode follows a different focal character. Shinpachi, Shonari, Orinoco, and all of their stories overlap in a confusing knot with multiple time skips. That type of technique worked in films like Vantage Point, where every new point of view gave a little more context, but Grunge's characters all have their own stories and you're supposed to follow them as they leap from place to place and forward and back. Also, in the midst of all that, there are repeated scenes that add so much dead weight and they get really boring by episode 3. The answer to this, mercifully, was simply better editing into a more streamlined narrative. Adult Swim couldn't do this because they were committed to 3 episodes, but fans stepped in with the edit that I mentioned, and I will plan to link that below. In that edit, the repeated scenes are removed and events are put back into mostly chronological order, with the exception of flashbacks. And the result, apart from a breath of fresh air, is a story that can be followed. Unfortunately, once you can follow it, then the real problems become more clear. And by problems, I mean the 4 main characters themselves. I'm gonna say it again. Our 3 focal characters are, in order of episodes, Shinpachi, Shonari, and Orinoco. And then of course we have our best girl, Haruko the alien, back in action. I'm gonna go through all 4, one by one, and explain why they're broken, and offer one suggestion of mine for each for how to fix them. If you've got your own suggestions, feel free to chime in the comments. But let's start at the beginning with our supposed hero, Shinpachi. Now, Shinpachi is our equivalent in Grunge of Naota, the main character from the original story. In both narratives, each boy feels stuck in his life, and then Haruko meets them while on her hunt for the space pirate king Adamus, who's being held by the evil space corporation Medical Mechanica. She gives both boys NO power, which can be used to open a portal to Adamus, and to trigger that power, she messes with their emotions and throws their lives upside down. By the end, Haruko fails to get Adamus and keeps chasing while Shinpachi and Naota both return to their old lives happier and contented because Haruko forced them to realize what's most important in life: real relationships. So what's the difference then? Shinpachi doesn't actually go through an arc, in large part because he never really interacts with Haruko. Look at the original series. Haruko was with Naota throughout all 6 episodes, teasing him in any way she could because that's how she knows to manipulate NO power and get what she wants. That pushed him out of his rut and helped him realize what he truly needs to be happy. Now look at Shinpachi. He gets 1 episode. Haruko shows up at his father's sushi restaurant as the mayor's call girl, and believe me, we'll get back to that, and she basically just gives Shinpachi a wink, a smile, and a stolen kiss. He runs after her to help, she gets a guitar from his head, and then he just decides to go back to the sushi restaurant.
I'll stay put. My future's here.
No explanation why. No interesting moments between them, no relationship, no growth. Translation, no fun. And what really irks me is that I like the juxtaposition with Naota. Shinpachi does run after Haruko where Naota was afraid. That could be an interesting point of view, a character who's dying to swing the bat if only he had the opportunity. They get so little time to do anything before he's exactly where Naota ended for no reason. To fix this, it's pretty clear. Shinpachi needs more time with Haruko to figure himself out. The first step is fixing Haruko herself, but since that comes later, this is what I want to see from Shinpachi. He joins her the moment she asks because she represents to him the unfettered freedom he desires. But the more he sees her true selfish nature, the more he gets disillusioned with her. At the end, when the kids have one off-planet ticket, he gives it to Orinoco not because he's given up an adventure, but because he's not going to pursue it selfishly at the cost of his friends. Instead, he'll strike out planet-side and find his own path on Earth.
My future's here.
And that, I hope you can agree, would go a long way towards fixing Shinpachi and giving him a real arc with growth and agency.
I get it.
Which, of course, means we're on to character number 2, Shonari. Shonari is my favorite. He's a rock alien. A Rockian. Now, I hated the Rockians at first as well, but just give him a chance. He's actually worth it if you give him a try. Shonari's backstory is that his home planet was destroyed and his parents were killed by Medical Mechanica. Now that Medical Mechanica is here on Earth, his brother Dainari is trying to earn them tickets off-planet by working as a suicide bomber for the Yakuza, which he can survive as a Rockian, but not without damaging himself. So, Shonari feels stuck, and he's watching his brother slowly kill himself. That's freaking intense! It's got teeth, this story. I mean, hats off to the creators for making a bold choice with this one. And yeah, we'll also ignore the fact that Grunge is a prequel to the original, and since Haruko is researching Medical Mechanica then,
They say they're making some kind of medical machines or something.
and didn't know that they were a threat at that point, it kinda does break the world building to have alien refugees already present on Earth as well as rockets fleeing the planet like they were in the second sequel, Fooly Cooly Alternative. But we like Shonari enough to ignore that, right? Right. Anyway, halfway through Grunge, during a climactic Yakuza gang fight caused by Haruko, Dainari dies, and that sends Shonari into a fit of rage. When he learns that Haruko caused the war, he goes after her for revenge at the moment she's trying to flee the planet as a Medical Mechanica iron facility flattens the city. It is so epic, there's so much drama, and then...
Not bad, kiddo.
Nothing. I'm not kidding you. The fan edit makes it so clear. Shonari gets to Haruko and Shinpachi, and then Shonari just never even mentions his beef with her. It's literally the most interesting thing in the show, and it just vanishes like smoke. It gets worse when you realize the potential it had for Haruko. Haruko is well known for being a selfish character in the original series, and her only true goal is to get Adamisk's power for herself. Shonari confronting her could have been the first chink in her selfish armor before she meets Naota, but no! The answer to fixing this is right there. Just have Shonari confront Haruko in some way.
Tell me the truth.
Picture it. Shonari stops Haruko and Shinpachi. He's ready for a fight to the death, and she's ready to throw down because it's her. She's a brawler. But Shinpachi cuts in and helps Shonari realize that vengeance is going to get everyone killed. And so, Shonari stands aside for his friends because they're more important. Haruko, of course, would have preferred the fight. It's forgiveness that actually forces her to consider the consequences of her actions, which would be Shonari's true victory. I like the look of that in my mind.
You're pretty good.
And so, I'm gonna consider him fixed, and we can now move on to Orinoco. Orinoco. Yeah, she's a bit of a deadweight. You see, Orinoco is the daughter of a blacksmith who's dying because, I don't know, Medical Mechanica made his craft irrelevant, they poisoned the water, it's something like that. She wants to find meteoric iron so he can craft one last sword before he dies. And also, they have a smithing assistant bot. Don't ask, I don't know why Medical Mechanica makes them if they're destroying artisans' business as well. We're moving on. Over the course of the story, Orinoco delivers a knife to Shinpachi for his dad, she finds iron with Haruko, and she crafts a sword with her father, who dies, She then discovers the Smith bot had her mother's memory as an AI, which she downloads. Then she gives the sword to Shonari before, and this is what really bothers me, she takes their one off-planet shuttle ticket and leaves to, I don't know, craft swords in space, I guess? Orinoco doesn't want anything beyond making a sword with her dad. Now, that's good. And I think it's implied afterward that she wants to preserve the art of Japanese swordsmithing, and that's also great, but the issue is just that. It's only implied.
You know, the code.
And even if it were stated, I don't understand why she's the one who needs to do that in space, especially when Shinpachi longs for adventure and Shonari's brother literally died trying to give him a better life off-planet. Grunge needs to explain Orinoco's future goals and show us why she wants them. Now, this is a bigger ask than the other two, so I'd recommend the easiest route. Anger. Imagine if it was made clear that after her father dies, Orinoco wants to make sure medical mechanica does not hurt anyone else. She plans to help the Galactic Space Police Brotherhood make weapons by combining their technology and her ancient craft. Yeah, it's cheesy, I know, but just how cool to imagine an aspiring cyber blacksmith heading out to join the resistance. That's so much better than watching Orinoco aimlessly sitting in a shuttle to nowhere with her AI mom in the seat's computer and no direction. Anyway, by doing that, you do fix Orinoco, and that brings us to number 4, the big kahuna. Haruko's main issue in Grunge is that she has too much going on that does not matter. To give you the picture, let me start with the overview. Haruko's main goal, as always, is getting Atomisk. Her current plan is to infect the local medical mechanica facility's robotic overseer with a sushi flat drive that will make him trigger the ironing because that will force Atomisk to reveal his position. At the same time, her flying Vespa is broken, trapping her on the planet, and she's trying to fix it. Now, that alone would be a lot, but it would make sense. However, that ain't the half of it, boys. She's also dating the literal man-baby mayor because he's friends with the overseer and can get her close to him, but the mayor also has tickets that Haruko can use to get off-planet if fixing her Vespa fails. And neither of those things really become necessary ever, by the way, but they do happen. At the same time, she becomes the girl of a local Yakuza gang boss and takes over when he dies, after which she starts that gang war, ostensibly to cover her tracks when she steals from the corrupt mayor. I think it's implied. Again. What? The biggest issue, as you can probably tell, is for no reason, she's everywhere.
Being in 2 places at once, it's killing me.
Since a lot of that stuff doesn't have any stated purpose, it's boring and confusing. For now. But we're about to fix that. So first off, I can forgive the Yakuza detour because it facilitates Shonari's plot and that works. But clearer explanation would be nice. If Haruko literally just said she felt like doing it for fun to create chaos, I'd be happy. It kind of fits her character too. Or you could say she needs a smokescreen. Doesn't really fit her power level compared to humans, but it does seem like what the story's going for. Without doing either though, she goes through a lot of work and there's seemingly no good reason. But the much bigger issue is the mayor. There's a lot to say here. He's a gross eyesore designed to be as much of an annoying, incompetent, corrupt, and lecherous man-child as possible. You're supposed to be happy when he's killed, and you are, but the payoff isn't worth it because he serves no purpose and he doesn't fit in the world. Look for a quick counterexample at Dolores Umbridge. She has a clear, supremacist point of view, and her function as a Ministry of Magic plant trying to sniff out any of Dumbledore's sympathizers makes sense at Hogwarts. You can enjoy hating her because your mind registers her as a person, as a character. And it's fun to watch her experience justice. Meanwhile, the mayor is more like a high-pitched noise played over the show. You're happy when he's gone, but he never really needed to be there. Haruko uses him for his off-planet tickets and proximity to the medical mechanica overseer, but one, it's revealed that she easily, whenever she wanted, could have taken the tickets, which she doesn't actually use, by the way. She just throws them to a group of strippers because the writers wanted to make a big statement, I guess? More importantly, two, when it comes to the robot overseer, Haruko knew he frequented the restaurant and could have joined as an assistant, and that would have given her way more time with Shinpachi, which, like I said, they needed.
You make good points, Armin.
And that is the answer. Just take the mayor out, and probably his tickets as well. The only ticket that really matters is the one that the kids share at the end, and it would have been way more emotionally impactful if that one came from poor Dainari. Think of Dainari! So, explain the Yakuza and remove the mayor, and that's it. Boom. Done. It's easy as that. Haruko makes sense, is fun to follow, and she matches the character we know and love. In conclusion, we fixed most of the major issues with Fooly Cooly Grunge's story. The final edit is actually watchable, Shinpachi gets a character arc, Shonari confronts Haruko, Orinoco has a purpose, and Haruko doesn't waste her time with flashy nonsense.
Stay on target. Stay on target.
It's not perfect, but it takes what's already there and salvages it and makes something that hopefully can please old fans, if not draw in new ones. And yes, before anyone says it, I know I didn't mention the cheap animation, which, don't yell at me, I didn't actually hate.
Excommunicado.
My reason for not bringing that up is a good one. I wanted to fix Grunge's story within the confines of its budget, because the sad truth is, studios will cheap out, especially for a spin-off series of a show that was released 2 decades ago. Creators can't always choose their budget or deadlines, but they can tell the best story possible. And that's really what I am at the end of the day, a creator who loves story.
I am Mrs. Nesbit.
And believe me, even with its weird animation, Fooly Cooly Grunge actually had a lot of great potential. I hope this video shows that, how it got messed up along the way, and of course, how it could be fixed.
Why do I fix everything I've done?
In some areas with literally less work than it took to do the mistakes. Here's hoping we get some better Fooly Cooly content in the future. And until then, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.